Throughout history, the world has had many questions, but I'm sure many of you can agree none have caused as much disruption and chaos as the question, what is the world's true, most dangerous organism? Such simple and yet complex issue has raised a hell over the years, with broken bonds, lives lost, and man left with nothing but the shame of a crushing level of testosterone. But alas, what is the answer to this age-old question? Well, today, your one and only true Savior is here to save you from it once and for all. Before we get to the actual answer, however, there are a few things that we must move out of the way, such as the candidates that many push forward when trying to foolishly answer this question. First, we have lions. Lions are known as the kings of the jungle, an apex predator, a kitty with a not so friendly bite. But even though it is related to the most dangerous one, it is simply not quite as powerful and fear-farming as it. This one is a bit situational. The only times they can have a high levels of danger are when they're faced with someone who's trying to make it into a certain industries, and said individual or individuals have very flexible morals and hopefully the free will to exercise it, or it goes in search of 2025's liquid gold, baby oil, and it is not able to find it. However, it does find out that you, yes, you listening, hold some of it either in your person or in your home. In which case, you might want to drop everything and run for your life. This one is also very situational. It only becomes feral when faced with a woke mob, similar to the Walking Dead one but with blue hair, and with both an open mind to new ideals such as the fluidity of gender being popularly accepted as a infinite mana pool of never-ending creativity, and a hunger for following biology, unless of course it is not on their best interest to do so. It is to be noted that this organism owns personal mob of his own, and the mobs are quite different from each other. As in, this specific one doesn't exactly like to color their hair because then how could they ever enter the pearly gates with it? And another difference would be how they tend to be as open-minded as the words written in the sacred texts, unless of course it also doesn't seem to work for their situations. Now, do keep in mind that this is not true for all of said mobsters, but observations done in the realm of X have shown such patterns to be true for many on each side of the daily Cheetos civil war. Thankfully, I don't think anyone has starved so far. From this, we can clearly understand how this individual is not the world's most dangerous living organism. Clearly. So, what other options are there? Well, we have the mosquito. Is it the mosquito? No, not quite. Despite liking the Kool-Aid dyed water inside each and every one of us, and having similar capabilities to spread diseases like an independent, empowered woman who just wanted to know what it was like to experience 100 modern versions of past generations in one day, of which I'm sure has left everyone fulfilled, satisfied, and with a larger tissue paper demand than COVID-19. But once again, the answer is no. This Kool-Aid drinking bug is not the most dangerous living organism. So what the hell is it, you may ask? Well, after clearing up so many of your favorite picks, the time has come to reveal the truth to you, lost sheep. Yes, You are reading this correctly. It is indeed the Poussoir. Now, I think I can tell what many of you are thinking right now. Yo, Professor, do we get a visual aid? The answer is yes. But sadly for you, I decided against it myself after the 0.1 second thought occurred in my brain to draw it. For my ego is too important, and the knowledge of potentially ripping out the innocence from so many of you younglings and not so younglings stopped me. But fear not, my fellow humans. I have compromised and made something that, though does not fulfill the hollowness left by the lack of my superior drawing skills, can partially fit it into the definition of the word itself. Okay, I can already tell what you were thinking. Again, you masochist piece of shit. How dare you? How dare you use such a fucking bold-faced scam to represent such powerful symbol in our culture? Yeah, bro, couldn't you just I don't know, put a picture of Myron or something? Yeah. Maybe hugging it out with Preach and I, because boys being boys and all that. Where's Anahita? Yeah. Okay, I get it. Okay, I saw this coming. That's what I've been trying to tell you guys. I can understand. I'm a master of understanding people's feelings and emotions even before they react to it. Okay, my advanced brain was able to calculate this outcome out of all infinite possibilities. And for that, I have come up with a perfect solution that I think will satisfy everyone involved. Okay, now that we're good here, if someone could please let me know if they could find a dot that I may have drawn here somewhere while trying to paste this image, I would appreciate it. I have contacted ancient archives, the secret texts, and Google AI, and have yet to come up with anything helpful. So, yeah, please help me. I may have been trying to look at this thing for days. Now, before we can break down the reason as to why such symbol of empowerment and miracle is the world's most dangerous living organism, I must first try to prolong my life for as long as I can. So, Mother, if you are watching, I just want you to remember that for a good chunk of my life you raised me, so in a way this is 50% on you. That I graduated college, which is something you've been pestering me about for a long time now. And please stop watching this video. Thank you for your patience, everyone. Now we can proceed forward. Human beings began somewhere between yesterday and a couple of millions of years ago. And even in the beginning, we were quite the conquerors, walking over almost all of our planet's land, adapting to multiple different types of both peaceful and dangerous environments, and hunting the biggest of living creatures for survival, all with the power of family, teamwork, and of course, anime. So how could this have become so dangerous to us? To the point that millions, if not billions, around the globe worship it as a religion, as if it was a divine entity with immeasurable power. To the point that it made the thrilling spark hunting specimen that we were into a bunch of naked people huddling around the table looking for, or rather looking at a glass screen for hours on end, with no reward except for that little dopamine hit in our heads that sadly many of us don't get it in any other ways. Either it being for the rest of that day or for the rest of our lives. But from the beginning of this takeover to the present day, I am sure, and I am confident that there was one event that truly helped shape its progress and prowess over mankind. One that was so absolutely horrifying that tales are still spoken of it to this day. So how could this Ragnarok, or what could this Ragnarok-like event be? And here's our answer. OnlyFans. In 2023, alone generated about $6.6 billion in revenue, more than many countries' total GDP combined. But how could this happen? How could such an app that not only worships but benefits so much from such divine symbol break down these very realistic standards of what we surely used to be like? The absolute peak of human anatomy, not to be confused, of course, with the degenerate that can pick up big weight, turned into this. To the point that even the so-called best of the best of humanity, the best we currently may have to offer, has lost it all to it. Oops. There must have been something that has made it so powerful in the first place, right? I mean, if it were in a tree, or if it was part of a tree, surely even the most lustful of the male species wouldn't have fallen for such thing. For integrity, grit, resistance, and willpower are all traits I am sure some of us keep with us at all times. Like a light switch that you'd never have to pay the bill for. So what kind of King Arthur wields such Excalibur? What Kratos wields such blades of Olympus? What Pudu wields such pie? What rooster wields such teeth? What Jeff wields such nippard? I again bring the answer to you all. Woman. Woman. One of nature's gods, the universe's gifts to mankind, bringing no limits upon its beauty, grace, power, independence, resilience, loyalty, charisma, elegance, and just like its counterpart, and what I'm sure / hope is in most cases, accountability. There are about 4 billion of these potential absolute gems out there, compared to the about 4.14 billion men. And even though the numbers may not quite be equal, the manosphere has surely not been too broken or torn, or stretched, or beaten, or intoxicated by the competition amongst fellow crew members. For with the power of Tate, Destiny, Piker, Goggins, Rife, Pearson, and fellow peers, what could possibly go wrong? So yeah, women wield such strong presence in today's society, making up about 88% of nursing staff who take care of the sick, the elderly, and many others in need. They make up about 77% of teaching staff, helping raise the future of this country with its increased challenges in the form of kids not being able to do things like sitting down, listening, or communicating unless ChatGPT tells them how to, or if there is a Subway Surfers gameplay going on with the optimal GTA 5 cars sliding down a colorful hill. They also make up about 92% of child caretakers. Child caretakers allow parents the time to relax and recharge their batteries. Not theirs, of course, but the tablets, smartphones, computers, and VR headsets, so it's ready for when the kids come back. And their personal 5-pack of Bluetooth earbuds. But I'm sure most of you listening that are parents must really invest time in raising your kids. When you are able to, of course. Giving them proper guidance, structure, and manners, which they may definitely think about holding on to as they grow older. Your reaction to this segment tells me everything I need to know. And finally, they make up about 99% of thirst traps on social media platforms. Now, this fact may be very well based on research and not on any of my personal feeds across platforms, of which I dibble dabble in. So there's no need to proof check this. Just treat it like an internet debate and assume the information you are reading/know is correct, and live your entire life knowing that you surely know the absolute truth to this world. Before we continue any further, we must once again ask ourselves a question. We must ask ourselves if this incident occurred by itself, or if it was a series of calculated/generic events that took place over a certain period of time, which naturally drew and kept the two sides of the population latched onto each other for so long, or rather for long enough, that such potentially toxic bond could be created and eventually manipulate so much to be lost. Not talking about my personal feed, of course, but this very issue we have at hand. So please, keep up. We arrive at repopulation. Repopulation is one of the main drives and important factors that any sexual species would need in order to continue their lineage. But most importantly, make sure their kind does not cease to exist and continues to evolve and further adapt to the world around them. But I know, of course, what many of you are thinking. Repopulation, not good. And listen, folks, this is a factual, transformational, inspirational, and serious presentation, okay? Leave your goon at the door and come into this journey with me with a clean mind, all right? Just please don't forget to Mr. Clean erase the floor before we go. I don't want to trip on anything on my way out. But why do we repopulate? Well, there are a couple reasons for it. The first one is to create the next generation, to further spread our genes down the line of time. The second one is to have a family, to create and harness one of the strongest bonds in human history. The third one is to make our parents happy, to finally gain that approval that you sought so long for, but by what might be the only mean to do so, creating another life that isn't you. So how does this happen? If you really want to know, the math is actually pretty simple. By combining the essence of the most dangerous organism with the strongest brain dead one, you're able to make a specific result. To make this process a bit simpler and even easier to understand, all you need to know is that the process is pretty much when so much pain is joined by immediate or an immediate consequence, and finally incorporated into the X factor. All of this combined, the solution should appear right before you. Now, is that the only reason why humans do this act? Well, not really. As many of you have probably guessed by now, there are actually multiple other reasons why humans choose to do it. The first one is to feel joy. The act can be quite enjoyable for both parties involved, and can help bring a sense of satisfaction to everyone participating. Now, the both parties does vary in the case-by-case basis, so just keep that in mind. The second one is to feel connected. This act can help strengthen bonds between individuals to a deeper and more serious level, for it can be a sign of not only affection but mutual longing for the other person, for one another, for each other. Not only on a physical level, of course, but also on a spiritual and mental level as well. The tightness of this bond can vary, of course, and we hope the bond is not shared between those with too similar of DNA. The third reason is to feel the rush. The adrenaline this act can bring upon the individuals involved in it can help them feel alive, unlike almost anything they may ever experience. If performed correctly, and not by sitting on a chair in a corner of the bed, this act can awaken a side of us that reminds us that life can be as thrilling as it can be disappointing. And that's pretty much it. Now, of course, I wouldn't be talking about this if it was something rare. And even if you don't believe this information before you, it should be an easy one to grasp. Casual sex, more specifically, sex that two or more individuals may partake in without any intention, usually, to further the relationship / continue their life with that person, is quite common. You may see it quite often talked about or depicted in multiple different social media apps and even in your own personal lives. Which means that the reasons stated previously why humans choose to engage in such things may be even more common than we think. Since even couples that are together and may plan to stay together for a long time may not want to procreate until much later in life. So here we are. Clearly, this organism is the most dangerous one of all, because it not only has the power to generate billions of dollars in capital gains, while also being the cause of billions of lost children at sea every day, but also it has the potential to inspire an event that completely breaks one of the main functions of any species, procreation, and turn it into something like a Chinese buffet at a New Year's Eve, where everyone can have a share of anything without a long-term commitment to the establishment, having no idea where anything came from, and at the end of the day, giving us a feeling in our gut that is either regret, pain, butterflies, flat out food poisoning, or gonorrhea.